You ready? You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, days and gays. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter, here. Hope you're having a good one. I've got a review for the latest Hulu original movie in Prom Dates, which stars Julia Lester and Antonia Gentry. It's written by DJ Mosner and directed by Kim Guyan is what I'm going to go with. So, right out the box, I gotta say, I love what Hulu's doing with their original films when it comes to stuff. I think Hulu, I know people, I think just because Netflix is kind of ingrained in people's minds as the original movie hub, I gotta give Hulu their credit. Between stuff like this, The Princess, Self-Reliance, Flamin' Hot, No One Will Save You, Fresh, Hulu's been putting up some fucking bangers as far as original films, which I think it's going a little under the radar, but Rye Lane, that's I think that's done in correlation with Hulu, but I'm really loving Hulu's output. So props to everyone over at Hulu. It seems like they're kind of hitting their stride, hitting their groove when it comes to this original content. So this film goes ahead and follows our two main characters in oh my gosh, okay, IMDb's been doing this more where they're not showing or not an IMDb, pardon me, Rotten Tomatoes has been doing this thing where they're not showing the character names on for these actors anymore, which is just a very weird thing. Why the fuck did you start doing that, Rotten Tomatoes? Julia plays Hannah, Antonia plays Jess, and they've been friends since they were kids, and as you hear Mr. Katzen in the background, but they've been friends since they were kids, and they made a pact very early on as kids to go ahead, a literal blood pact, which if you're squeamish about blood, I will say the scene you might want to turn away, because they have I can't remember how old they are. I think they're like in middle school. Actually, I think they might even be younger than that, but they do a blood pact about basically to have the best prom ever, no matter what. And Jess goes ahead and cuts her hand a little bit. I think it's Jess who cuts her hand a little bit. But then Hannah cuts her hand like almost from like the top of her bottom of her middle finger all the way down her palm. And you're like, oh my god! And that getting that gag almost out the box. That's like 5 minutes in the movie. I got a very hard laugh out of that. And one thing I love about this movie is the representation. I am quite confused why this isn't coming out in June for Pride Month. I'm probably gonna hold on to this review, to be honest, until Pride Month, because I think it's kind of absurd that they just didn't wait a month to go ahead and put this out. But the LGBTQ representation is very well founded in this film. This is it's very obvious. If you've hung out with a lesbian before, it's it's very obvious that Hannah is gay, and part of what makes this film so endearing is Hannah's discovery of that in real time. I think Julia Lester puts a lot of nuance in just certain situations as far as how she kind of starts to put the pieces together and go, oh shit, okay, like this is why I'm not attracted to my boyfriend. Her boyfriend, Hannah's boyfriend in question, I want to say Greg, that's his name, who's played by Kenny Ridwan. So right out, he has been on the show called the Thundermans. Oh, he was on the Goldbergs. That's where I recognize him from. He played Dave Kim on the Goldbergs. And one thing about Kenny Ridwan is his comedic timing is very pristine already. I really can't wait to see what he does as he continues to evolve. But whenever he has to cry, he nails that shit. Holy fuck. It's for those of you who are fans of New Girl, it's like when Justin Long has to cry on there, and you're just like, oh my god, he's such an ugly crier. There is a great comedic skill in being an ugly crier, and Kenny Ridwan nails that shit. Um, Greg loves Hannah in a way that I think a lot of people love their first partners, where it's so new and it's so fresh, and you're just not used to having someone to be able to call your person, that you are like riding that obsessed line. Okay, let's be real. He's not riding the line. He's crossed over into obsessed. And Hannah, not just because she's gay, she's struggling with that, but he's a lot. He is a lot. And the way that's played for comedy, it's endearing to Greg, but you also understand why Hannah's over it. But you also understand that Hannah is, let's call it what it is. She is lying to not just herself, but she's lying to her partner about who she is. And it's a very, very tough balancing act that the film goes ahead and strikes. But it's a balancing act that DJ Mosner is clearly up to the task on, and I think they absolutely nail it as far as balancing that aspect of the script. Going on to Jess. Jess is dating this guy named Luca, who's played by Jordan Bahat, is what I'm gonna go with. You know him most likely from Grownish. He plays Vivek. By the way, if you haven't seen Grownish, Grownish is a lot of fun, by the way. But he plays an amazing douchebag in this. And and I mean this as a compliment. I know how this will kind of sound, but it's very hard to make being a douche sound almost natural. And there are so many moments where if you were a friend to Jess, you would just have to take her aside and be like, girl, you see how he's treating you, right? Like no person, no matter their sex, should stay with someone who's treating them this badly. But it's amazing because Luca comes from privilege. He comes from a very rich family. And so he's clearly not used to being told no or being checked at all. But Luca, I think deep down he even knows that his behavior is problematic at best. But he's gaslighting just at every fucking turn about how he's a good partner. There's a point where they're in Luca's car to start off the film, and the way that he tries to French kiss her actually gave me goosebumps in the worst way. I was I was so offended for Jess in that moment. I was like, holy shit, like you have to break up with him just on principle of what he just tried to do to you. Like, please break up with this motherfucker. The other thing I will say, just as a guy, Luca tells Jess, like, he's trying to go ahead and fuck her in his car. And and there's this point where you know, the whole prom night, that's where you know, lose your virginity. Not if you're me, but that's you know, kind of the standard, as it were. And there's this point where Luca goes, you know, I'm not trying to force myself on you or whatever. In just the flippant way that he says whatever, I went, okay, fuck this guy. You need to get the fuck away from him. And the movie just kind of and it's the amount of little red flags that Luca's constantly dropping throughout the film, that when you go back and view them all back to back, you go, oh my god, this guy fucking sucks. And I actually love the way that Jess is clearly aware of it, but she's so obsessed with creating this specific memory that precedes everything else. And it's one of those things that you go, wow, that's really fucked, honestly, when you think about it. But it also makes a ton of sense for Jess and how insecure she is the more that we learn about her. So I would say this movie is like a combination of Superbad and Booksmart. It feels very heavily influenced by both of those. Two girls out to go ahead and find prom dates. and end up in wacky scenarios. And the thing I will say about both these actresses is that I think both of them just absolutely bring it. I found both of them incredibly endearing, Julia and Antonia. Also, as someone who, oh God, my 30, God, how old am I going to be? 37. Oh God, my with my 37th birthday here in less than a month. One thing I really like about them is like it's very much that high school way of thinking, in the sense of, you think that prom is the most important thing in the world, and losing your virginity is the most important thing in the world. And it really, like, you can tell that they're gonna be friends, like, no matter what, even though that they've gone through all this shit together. They clearly have a connection. That's one of those few friends that you leave high school with and go confidently that, yeah, we're still going to be friends, and I'm not going to need to try hard to go ahead and maintain this friendship. I found that really endearing, and I found that very sweet. Also, the punchlines. There are several punchlines here between the two of them that I thought were so goddamn funny. One of them, and I'm gonna kind of dance around spoilers here, but one that Jess has in particular, she goes, I'm a black teen who committed a minor crime. I'm a cop's wet dream." And I actually had to, I actually had to pause the movie, because I looked over at my partner and I just went, "God damn, that's savage." But the movie keeps hitting you with uppercuts like that, and I found myself just constantly laughing, in the best way. Oh gosh, what's his name? John Michael Higgins is in this. He's the principal. He's kind of the Jason Sudeikis character in Booksmart. He's Principal Lundy, and he only has a couple scenes. He does. There's this opening sequence at a assembly where they're talking about teen pregnancy. That whole sequence, amazing cringe. I love cringe comedy, and that whole sequence for me, I thought was fucking great. Also, the fact that when he gets up to the podium, this random student yells, "Eat a dick," and he goes, "Hey, shut up!" and just, the vitriol and the anger in which he said "shut up." That's someone that's gone through a whole school year of kids being assholes, and just and they're over it. And it's something that made me very happy. It does a really good job of setting the tone too for how snarky the rest of the film is going to go ahead and be. I'll throw out another couple ones. I wasted 10 months of my life giving hand jobs to a guy with a Glee bumper sticker. That's another great one. That was that one. I very much enjoyed that one. And then the last punchline I'll throw out is, I got handcuffs for him. Yeah, they're from the Halloween store, and I was going to have to Google how to use them, but like. The film, like, it walks a very fine line of these girls clearly wanting to have sex but not knowing, like, the ins and outs of it, but also maybe they don't. Maybe it's just the idea of sex and the pressure of feeling like you have had sex. I've talked about on the pod before how I waited until I was 25, and there was a constant just barrage of people, calling me the F word, and saying I was gay and all this shit, just because I wasn't having sex. And there was just a point where I saw so many of my friends and how it, like, destroyed relationships and how it made things complicated, where I went, yeah, I'm in no rush to lose my virginity. And I really appreciate how the girls, how they go through these scenarios, and they go through all these things that happen throughout the night, and they kind of realize, okay, maybe what we thought going into this evening isn't how we should be living. And I think that there's an actual maturation process that I thought, wow, it's really cool how they're showing the characters going ahead and realizing all of this. Jacob is Hannah's brother in the film. He's played by JT Neal. You most likely know him from Bless This Mess, and then the TV show Pivoting. I thought he has a very natural, and I know it's going to sound kind of like a backhanded compliment, but he has a very natural everyday or everyman charisma to him. He kind of has that that Nick Johnson or Jake Johnson, pardon me. He has kind of that Jake Johnson kind of quality to him. Anytime he was on screen, I was like, he's fucking delightful. And the way that him and Hannah give each other shit, it's very, as someone who has two sisters, it's very, very sibling in that way, in the way that they give each other shit. But you can tell that he actually does care. And he again, he's very naturally charismatic. He's a very funny guy. I thought he was I thought he was really fun for the bits we got him in. I don't want to get too much in spoilers, but I'll just simply say a few things here real quick. Vodka Heather is fucking wonderful. We get some twink representation in here, which I was really surprised by, but in the best way. One of the best quotes in the film: "How do I know who's gay? It's freshman year in college. Everybody is gay," which has so much more truth to it than it really should. And when Jess and Hannah inevitably end up having their breakup fight, I know I said this or something similar about when Booksmart came out, but when you know someone for that long, you know how to push their buttons. You know where their weak points are. You know where their insecurities are. And it's really sad, honestly, to see them fight and you just go, God damn. But I love that there's a point in the fight where this couple shows up. And through circumstances, you'll see why. But this couple shows up and they both like stop their vitriol towards each other to go, "Hey, shut the fuck up! That's my friend." Like, I love that little kind of break in the fight because it does show that there's still love there. But it was really well handled. But getting my final thoughts here, I had so much fun with this. This was a joy to watch. I'm gonna hold on to this. I probably won't upload this until. Maybe this will be the first thing I upload for Pride Month. Maybe I'll do that. But I really enjoyed this, and I had a lot of fun with this. And after watching Unfrosted, which royally pissed me off, I got more laughs out of this movie in the first 20 minutes than I did in all of Unfrosted. Just to put it in perspective, I had a lot of fun with this movie, and this will definitely be one of those things that I will be recommending to my LGBTQ friends, like, hey, like, you should check this out. This is something that's probably going to go under the radar for people, but it's definitely something that should be watched. I think this would be a perfect double feature with Booksmart. It's not as good as Booksmart, but oh shit, maybe I'll do that this week. Maybe I'll do that for Pride Month. I think if you did a triple feature of this, Booksmart, and Bottoms, oh, boom. There you go. I'm going to do that shit. Yeah, do a review of this, or do a marathon of this, Booksmart, Bottoms. If you wanted to go 4 films, you could add Yes, God, Yes, and I think you will be very happy with the results. I'm going to go B+ on this, but I might end up changing it to an A minus. But I'm going to go B+ for now. I really enjoyed this, and this is something I'm going to be recommending to people in confidence to go ahead and check out. Really enjoyed this. Prom Dates. Check it out. But Prom Dates, have you seen it? If you have, what'd you think about it? Let me know in the comments. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at JHunterRealPineapple. So that's JHunter and then REEL and then Pineapple. You can go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and rate the podcast. It definitely helps me out. You can find me on YouTube at The Real Pineapple. That again is REEL Pineapple. You can follow me on Blue Sky at realpineapple.bsky.social. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Black Shazam. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/TheRealPineapple. And go ahead and like, share, subscribe, and rate the podcast. You can find the podcast pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts: SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneUp, and Samsung Podcasts, to name a few. At The Real Pineapple. I will be since I am going to be waiting for Pride Month, most likely to put this out. I will have some other reviews for Pride Month. I'm real excited to I'm still figuring out what I want to review, but I'm real excited to go ahead and get a couple reviews out for Pride Month. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Stay safe. Take care of each other. Give someone a hug. We could all use some. Give someone a hug. Send someone a compliment. We could all use some more love out there, some more positivity. And never forget, as always, to keep it real.